a slightly windy 182. Nice and sunny today, that's for sure. Okay, quick recap where we are. Lots and lots going on. Okay, so start on the actual main part where we are now. So, we've actually got the garage now marked out on the floor, which we're going to potentially start in the next day or two. In front of me, we got the suck well, which is being done on Saturday. So they're going to start by excavating out a little bit in and around this area here. And then they're going to dig that out on Saturday, and then I think they're going to obviously set certain things in there on Saturday, and then Monday they're coming into concrete and do their main lid. So that's being done. In the meantime, that means we need to get this completely cleared out. Anything that doesn't need to be up, it needs to go. We also, at some stage in the next day or two, need to start getting all the manholes to height. As you can see, that is the actual ground height we're going to have. So I need to work out how many blocks we're going to go on there. Is it 2 or is it 1 with a top piece? We've got to do that on all of these, including the wall over here. That's got to be done. They've got to be done. That's got to be done. Manhole here's got to be done. So then that way, once this is finished off, I then need to use an excavator to see all that mud through there. That's all got to be brought through this wall here, into here, to level off. And then we can start the footings on the garage. So we don't need to, we need to ideally get this part behind here sorted before we start on there. We've got stone and sand now coming through, and because of what we're doing, we're pushing it over there. And the mains water is meant to be run all the way around where this pipe is here, stop there, run all the way around the wall, around here, and then through the rear of the building here. But apparently he's saying he's not doing it because he doesn't want to put it over the wall there and it get hit by them doing the well, which does make sense. But in the meantime, I do need the plumber getting the access into the back of the building sorted out. In the basement of this building, there's actually trunking going through the patio all the way through into the basement of the house and then coming down into this corner here. So I need him doing that in the meantime, so that when he is ready to run this, all he's got to do is run pipe work from there to there, there to there, and then we're done, rather than leaving the whole job. So hopefully we'll get him here today and get him on that. We've also got to analyse the leakages we have down here as well, which I'll show you in a second. Let me actually get in there and I'll show you. So in here we do have damp areas all around here, and it also is over here as well. So I'm not too sure why, and then all of this is wet. So it's not been wet at all, in fact. So it's only just started, so we need to work out where it's coming from. None of the walls are damp, so never assume obviously, but I'm assuming that it's actually either coming up from down below, or it's coming through the actual cavities themselves behind this wall, which is the swimming pool's behind here, and it's coming through that way. But it seems to be more damp here than it is anywhere else, but it's not above. So there's no water coming from above anywhere. Certainly not I'm seeing anyway. And it all seems to be wet down here, so a bit of a confusing one. So I'll have a quick look in the basement in a minute next door to see whether it's coming through there, but that's the first time I've actually seen any water coming through here. So yeah, strange one that, but that's something else we're going to have to contend with. We've still obviously got to sort this out anyway in here. From a height point of view, this has also got to be taken up to height as well. Once that staircase is done Saturday, straight next week, you can take those jacks out and that can be boxed back up again. And this is going to be boxed up, in all fairness, until we're ready to do something with it anyway. What else are we doing today? Okay, let's go up on the main slab. Not too sure if I've even shown you the steps. I think we have, but the steps themselves are quite big. So obviously they've got to be finished off, obviously. They're not finished. Carpenter's cutting something for some reason. I don't know what it is. He might be actually cutting some, they call them rods. Obviously it's like a 4-inch by 1-inch piece of wood that they actually screw onto window frames and door frames to get the actual plaster depth. So the pool itself does have water in it. So it's not coming from there, but it could be coming from here. So what I might do today, might get some caps on those, get this water off and try and actually get some concrete and some sealant around that. And I would assume that roughly here we're having a leak coming in the basement. The other storage area there, we've got a leak around this area. And then downstairs we've got a leak that's pretty much now the whole length of here. So it could be coming through the actual drain pipe that's here. It could be coming through here. I'll have to get that analysed. Obviously there's water here, so it could be coming from here. Confusing on that one. But I can't see it coming from here. But that said, underneath this 2x4 is actually a drain. So it could be going into the drain, but we've not had that so far. So get that looked at some stage. In here is now obviously dry because we have a roof on. So regardless of if it rains or not, we do at least get in here protected. What we're doing today, as you can see by the line just there, you might be able to see it. That has now been pulled, which is actually giving the thickness that we need to be applying. So what I'm getting the guys to do today is apply a plaster scratch coat to the front of this building. Because I said about the holes in the blocks, I want this scratch coated first to try and get all of the holes filled. Once we've done that, then we'll start, tomorrow we're starting the white plaster. So this is going to be the only wall that's scratch coated because this is the one that gets the main rain and wind. And I want all the holes filled, and there's loads of them. Cracks in blocks, holes through blocks. You know, so I want to make sure everything is absolutely filled right through. So that's going to be one of the tasks for today. The guys mixing the mortar, making sure it's waterproof, and actually getting that right across the whole front of the building. As you can see by the, this is what I said about when I talk about the rods. It's measuring the rod and making sure the thickness is controlled in every door frame, and they're all straight, obviously. Anyway, so that's where we are so far. So I like, especially with this side, as you can see, already starting already. So I'll update you later on. Okay, so it's 20 to 1. Quick update on what's happened. Patio looking a little bit clearer. Some of the wood now taken apart and put into the container. We found what the issue was in the downstairs storage area getting wet. We have 2 irrigation tanks here that are around about 15,000 gallons when they're full. Last week we poured the roof and we've connected up the gutters. The gutters run through the base and come through here and fill up the irrigation tanks. Great idea. Irrigation tank 1 is over there, 2 is here, and they're joined in the middle by a doorway, which you might be able to see. There's the water. There's the wall. Don't know if you can see the difference between those 2 walls there. But the difference between the 2 walls is one is plastered and one is not. They all have to be plastered with waterproof. So we've now got 6-7 inches of water going in there from the roof above, so that's working. But it's unfortunately finding its way through that wall, which is here. Get this right. It's just on the pool wall there. Where am I? So it's here. It's on this pool wall here. All right. And what it's doing is it's finding its way through there and going all the way. Oh, I can't do it backwards. That way, and it's then coming through the wall this way. So we've just pumped most of the water out. We've got to keep on pumping that out. And again, they didn't do a sump in there. Sump hole meaning just, it can be 2 inches. It just needs to be something that's lower than the floor itself where the water can flow into. So water will always find the lowest point. So you normally just do box out a square in the middle of the floor. Normally it's best to go for about 12 inches if you can. But again, as long as it's about 1 inch to 2 inches, then you put the pump into the gap and it literally pumps out until all the water disappears. There isn't one. So we now have, the pumps don't do more than about 2 inches. So at the moment we now have a floor with about 2 inches of water in there, which we now can't get out unless we start drilling a sump. So that's another thing we have to do, drill a sump, start draining out the water. Anyway, on a positive note, the guys at the front are on price, doing the scratch coat. So let's go out and find how they're getting on. So they started at about 9:15. We're meant to be having a delivery of concrete today, Bayesian time. So I've had to go off and buy more concrete because the delivery hasn't come. And we're now down to our last 2 bags. So anyway, this is where we are so far. So the scratch coat is going on. We decided to scratch coat this just to make sure that the waterproof is actually going to do what it needs to do. because this is a very, very windy, rainy, northeast facing. So it does get quite brutalised by the wind and rain. So we are 1 o'clock and we're over about 2/3 of the way through. So they should definitely finish this today, this piece. And then we've got to do all the door frames as well. So we've actually got the rods going down to ensure that you plaster up to them. And then tomorrow what will happen is those rods will come out and they'll then be fixed on the front and the insides will be redone. And then tomorrow we're starting the white plaster. Well, I say white plaster, it's more like cream plaster. We need to get some lime. We need to add it to the actual product, and we need to get that put on tomorrow. So we're going to start plastering tomorrow. We're meant to be having the windows installed Saturday, but we might have to delay that because at the moment I can't see how we're going to do that at the same time as boxing up and taking the wood away. All these big bits of wood that we're standing on are going straight for every single window frame, which means we can't do anything on the floor. So it's a bloody difficult one. We're probably best off delaying the window install, which I'll deal with that later. But at the moment, say we seem to be eating through the cement, and we don't seem to be getting any promise of delivery as to when. Also, Bristol's been over here. Bristol's been plastering in obviously what we did yesterday and the day before. It's cracking into here as well, so he's doing the inside now. I'm not too sure why he's just stopped there. He's having a bit of a lunch break under the tree. There he is. So he needs to deal with that before that dries. And he's done the front as well, which again needs to be polished up. And then hopefully on Saturday we've got the weld step being started, so that will obviously start. They're going to get an excavator in, dig out the hole bigger, drill down, do what they've got to do, and then Monday they'll come in and they'll put all the actual concrete and the sleeves and everything in. So that'll be another job hopefully finished. The plastering is also, that's all going to be plastered there. This is all going to be plastered, that'll all be plastered, that'll be plastered. Inside here and the other side will be plastered. This whole wall here will be plastered. And we're also going to start the garage over the weekend as well on the footings. So shed loads on. That's how we like it. So fingers crossed we can keep on top of it and keep motoring forward. Okay, 13 to 5. Another end day with the sun going down behind palm trees, which is always a nice touch. What have we done today? We've neglected this building really today. Not really a lot been done on that. We have removed a lot of the nails on the front. Loads of nails hanging out the sides. We've got to get that done. Obviously we've found the leak. So we've got a leak in here, so we've got to get that wall plastered tomorrow to ensure that we stop the water going in. So I need to put that lid back on in a minute. Also, they come with rubbers, they do. So if anyone's looking to install sort of manholes, these ones here have been put in bad and they've now been broken, which means they do leak. i.e. there's meant to be a little rubber strap that goes in here. Look, as you can see, it's all manky and covered in crap. And then what happens is there's a lip underneath here. That lip sits in the groove, but as you can see, if you don't pull them out straight, it cracks them off. So that then means water can leak in. So anyway, so I need to redo that. So as you can see, there's not a lot of water in there now, but obviously we need to make sure we get that sealed properly so the water doesn't go back in. The guys have mainly been doing the scratch coating. The carpenters have been planing down some 2x4s that we're going to be using in the window frames. So let me show you what's going on in here. So the first thing obviously is that the guys have been starting to look at the window sizing and how high we're going to have to concrete up in order for the windows to fit nicely. So that's got to be finished off. And as you can see, the building is looking very different. So the first scratch coat has gone on, and to a certain extent that's pretty much done now. All we can do now is let that go off and plaster. But what we've got to do now is the window frames, sorry. They need to be, the windows are 23 3/4, but we now need to make sure with plaster and finish that we're at 23 to ensure the windows sit up against the plaster. So we've done some of the window frames, but I don't think we've done them right. This is obviously for this, but before that we did actually scratch coat a couple of the frames in because they were just too wide. So this one here, for instance, was scratch coated on the inside here and here. But now we've got to measure from here to here and make sure we're getting 23.5, which is smaller than the window. So the window, in effect, sits up against the jamb like that, but it's actually concrete. So we're going to need to plaster in and make sure there's a reveal like that, so the window sits into that. So we need to build those up. So we've got an inch to sit on the floor, and we also need to make sure that we've got plaster coming in to ensure the window sits in both around the sides and around the top into the actual window slot itself. So that's one thing the guys have been focusing on. But today really has been mucking up the scratch coat, ensuring that it goes on the building. So we get out to the road and show you what the building looks like now it's been scratch coated. So yeah, it's brought it to life a little bit more, that's for sure. And I said I've only scratch coated this side because this is the one that gets all of the wind, all of the rain. So I wanted to put a very good waterproof scratch coat on there, so that when we actually put the plaster on tomorrow, we're actually going over a waterproof surface as well as block. I'm sure the surface we're going to put on is going to be good, but it also means we should be able to use a little bit less as well. So as you can see, the battens that go up here, as I said, they call them rods. They'll be around the window frames, they'll be at the very end, and they pull lines. There's a line just there, you can just see it. There's also a line up there as well. And they plaster to those lines, and we're going to have to plaster all around here, all the way down the hallway to the front door, and on both sides. All of this is going to be plastered, all around here is going to be plastered, this will all be plastered, that will all be plastered. We've also done the bin shed, the bin straight utility shed, not finished. So I couldn't go home, I literally couldn't go home without finishing that. It would destroy me. I mean, that side's got to be done as well, but I would at least done the front there, and the side in here. I wouldn't have gone home without finishing that. That would have to be finished. That would fucking hurt me. But anyway, it's looking better. So the tops have got to be plastered, the front's got to be plastered, and the side's got to be finished off as well. But we're getting there with that. What else? We obviously still need to do the drainage in here, so the plumber apparently is meant to be coming in this afternoon, but he didn't show as always. So I'm going to put a call into now and tell him if he can't get down and get it finished off, then I'm going to be finding someone else. It's not fair that he keeps on putting us in this situation. So he said he was going to come this afternoon, and he hasn't. So a stern word's going to be happening with him. Apart from that, I've not been up on the roof today, so I am going to get up there and have a quick look, see what it's looking like, because it's now we'll be on now day 5, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We really should have been pouring water on there today, but I didn't want to pour water all the time that we're finishing this off. We need to try and keep it as dry as possible. And obviously on the other one, we found the leak. So what we don't want to be doing is pouring water on the roof and having it going straight down into the actual irrigation area that we're trying to empty. So anyway, that's where we are with this. More really to report. So I'll call it a day today, and I will check in again tomorrow. So I thought I'd just show you a little bit of the roof upstairs now that things have settled and some of the boxes come. So this is a little parapet that we've actually put on. So a little 4-inch poured concrete. So we've still got some battening on the top here because we're using that for the front plastering. So some stuff we need to take down. As you can still got our lovely puddles, which is disappointing. We've still got a few messy bits on here as well, which they should have kept an eye on. It's obviously bled out underneath where the wood was, so we can probably scrape some of that off anyway. That drain pipe's been redone now. Needs to be smoothed off and treated a bit better. But other than that, that's not too bad. It's not set too well there, but again, I think that a little scoop of waterproof plaster won't sort out. So maybe redo those and remake them ourselves. And again, all the way around as well. So it's all been done on the front. Any part that hasn't been done is the other side over here because it's where the beam is. Again, more wood's got to go downstairs. Get that down tomorrow. But yeah, just here where the beam will be on the sides, we need to think about what we're going to do there. I might just say I might get these boxed up to keep take them obviously out of the element. You can see they're rusting. I might get them actually put into a box and get it concreted, and then decide what we're going to do later on. And we have to do the same over there as well. So that beam on the front, I need to get that boxed in all the way along as well. But yeah, so progress each day, a little bit more progress, that's what it's all about. So fingers crossed tomorrow get up here swept off, and maybe try and look at some form of, certainly on the front edge where the water's going to be over here, especially with these pipes are, etc. Try and get something put in there to try and smooth that off, to make sure the water runs better. And we're still waiting for Ready Mix to come back to us with their solution on what they're going to do with the floor. They started off with computer says no, not our fault. I politely rejected, obviously, and said you need to come out and take some responsibility. So we shall see what they say. Fingers crossed they'll take a bit more ownership on it. That's the hope anyway. So we'll see. Tomorrow is another day.